I want you to breathe. I want you to breathe. I want you to breathe.
Friends, we're back. We're Black and Curious. I'm Kandron.
What up, what up? It is your girl Dehjai, and today we have a guest, Miss Christina. Hey, boo, hey.
Hey.
So, if you guys have been listening to our last conversations, we've been talking about the relationship with yourself and how that plays out in different arenas. So, I wanted to bring in a friend of mine, which is Christina Owens, here to have a conversation with us about human design and how that informs your self relationship. So, before we even get into all of that, can you tell us what human design
is? So human design, you said what human design is?
Yeah.
Okay. Human design's a self-awareness framework that focuses on our body's knowledge. So it's a system that uses our birth information to download our energy chart or body graph chart. You'll hear it referred to in different ways. But that chart is basically informing us how our energies are working and navigating with the world, and how we navigate with the world around us using our energy. So.
Nice. How would you say that using or doing like your own human design chart, how that informs a person about their life?
Yeah, the way the chart works, and the chart mixes this ancient and modern technology. So you'll notice some Chinese I Ching, you'll notice some Western astrology, the Hindu chakra system, the Kabbalah tree of life, and also astronomy, genetics, quantum mechanics, biochemistry. So you'll notice, and there's like continue to be advancements of in different ways that people utilize the system or incorporate the system. But with all of that, to say, pulling in all those different modalities, it helps us better. I always hear, this is what I hear: I see myself clearer. That's the biggest kind of
That's what I said.
Statement. That probably comes that I think I've heard that 100% of the times from people that I've been able to share human design with. So it's I say it kind of wipes that mirror really clean. Like if you're staring at that mirror and like trying to stare down your soul, trying to really understand, why am I doing this? Or why do I keep making this mistake? Or why do I keep showing up like this in these spaces? Mm-hmm. That chart really pinpoints a lot of that. And you can go deep and dive deep in the woods with it, but just even on a surface level, there's so much you can learn, or just get that validation about yourself, or know how to better articulate and talk about yourself and understand how you're showing up and those things.
So how do people often use this sort of work? Do they use it just in terms of generally for their lives? Do they use it in their romantic lives, their career? Who comes to you?
All types. So because there's relationship charting, there's family dynamics charting, but mostly what I've been people I've worked with usually are in transition, job searching, trying to consider whether or not they want to shift, change, pivot into another direction. People that just really, for myself, I have what I call all over the placeness energy. I'm a multi-passionate.
Listen, Christina,
that's my next question. How do we fall into this?
I'm getting ready to be over to your chair in a minute. I'm getting ready to book a session right now. Although, let me go into it.
Yeah. So with that, for me and for most, like I said, it validates. So it's like, okay. And you might see that through other personal assessments or strength-based tests that you've taken and things like that. But just the way that human design was presented to me, and how I took it in, and then just how it spoke. And I was like, what like that? Oh my gosh. Now I know why while in the midst of this career that I built, I'm still trying to reach over here. I got a real estate license. I got a fitness instructor license. I got a life coaching why am I keep grabbing for stuff? Why I'm not happy in this space that I'm in? And that was something that kind of put me in a state of depression, because I was trying to perform for everybody else and respond and trying to show up and say, yes, I succeeded. Look what I've achieved. But at the same time, I'm like, but why am I not happy? Why am I still wanting to do all these other things? And so it started to become like, what are you doing now, Christina? That was kind of the question that I was always getting, and it wasn't the excited to hear. It was kind of like, okay, this girl is
Girl,
everywhere.
what now?
Like you was learning from Girlfriends.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is a perfect lead into my next question, which was like, tell us your story. Like, how did you fall into human design?
Yeah, so well, like I said, just through as I titled, All Over the Placeness Energy, and really trying to just sit with myself, but sit with myself in a way that felt good and felt inviting. I was looking for community that understood, that wouldn't try to analyze or give me, like, well, I think you just, all those things we hear, and people are being very genuine in that. But I just needed to find community of people that understood and could be helpful and resourceful and just supportive in that. And so I came across a multi-passionate community. And in that multi-passionate community was introduced to human design as a tool of focus, because that was her whole, what kind of her program was about, was focusing, but still utilizing that multi-passionate energy, but how you can put it into the right focus. So it was introduced to human design through that community, and that continues to be used as that foundation for that.
I love that. Like, oh my gosh, all of this is speaking to me directly because I literally have this conversation with myself once. Like, girl, pull it together. You have too many things going on. It's a lot. It's a lot all the time. And then I still take on more because I'm still not in a place of being at peace or content or happy with where I am at the present.
Yeah.
So this is speaking to me very, very clearly. So is there something like a catalytic moment where you were just like, okay, what is happening here?
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about like as far as with kind of being in all of these different spaces.
Sort of like what
Yeah.
led you into like even searching out that community? Like, was there a moment where you were just like, this is not weird, but I feel different from other people, and like I know that there got to be more people out there like me. Like, and like, what were your first steps? Did you go on Facebook? Like, how did you find this community? Because I want to go too.
Yeah. No, well, first, let me give her shout out. The community's Dehjai. She's oh gosh, I know it's Deanna Joy. So if you type multi-passionate creative or multi-passionate Dehjai, she'll come up. I can't think of exactly what her community is called. So every year I have a word that I kind of give myself. And that's my word of focus. And so I think it was like in 2019, 2020, somewhere it was still, well, I think it was 2020 because it kind of went in with what happened. It was the
void
word,
year.
the word was stillness for me.
Oh boy.
And that was a moment where I said, Christine, I'm not going to start any new projects. I'm not going to go after any new certifications, pursue any new degrees, anything. Like, I'm just going to just focus on what I've already got going and just try to be in a moment of stillness. And in that still moment, because my energy was rabid, and I'm like having all these ideas, and I'm like, oh, I can do this. And I'm like, wait, hold on. One, I don't need to invest any more money and time and all of that into something else that I will start and then not finish, and
Ding, 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 ding.
all of that.
Very Deja.
So I met, yes. So through that, just kind of going through that moment in time, moments in time, I just started like searching online. I think I even interviewed. So I have a podcast that I randomly do. I'm very sporadic with it, but I came across another multi-passionate individual, and I actually ended up interviewing her and talking to her, and we did the Colby assessment, and she kind of takes you through that if you've ever done that assessment. And
I've
that
never
was,
heard of that.
Me
yeah,
either.
that was really that gave me some good information to think about, especially when it came to how how I worked through tasking and things. Um, and then I think just through that, and I realized there's multiple multi-passionate communities out
Mhm.
there. Marie Forleo, she's a huge one that runs the B School and a lot of those programs. And through that, I think social media, I might have came across um, Deanna Joy, and that's when I connected with that community. And I'm like, oh my, and it was like a little bit of everybody, a little bit of every type of multi-passionate individual, your career slashers that are just working multiple jobs, your solopreneurs, your entrepreneurs, your I call them fire starters, people that just start things and put it down and move on. Like it was just a bulk of different energies, but all feeling that same stress, tension. Like, why can't I focus? Why can't I focus on one direction and just be in that space and grow in that space? And so that yeah, I joined that community, and it just kind of went from there.
I love that. What would you say has been some of your like most powerful or defining moments with a client in terms of like their realization through human design?
Yeah. Let's see. I think there it's been that, like I said again, when they're giving me that feedback on, after reading their energy guide, the guide that I do, to kind of translate that energy chart into, yes, reading that.
I'll
I
give y'all
know
some of my business in a minute. Go ahead, Christina.
I know just like I said earlier, them just like, oh my gosh, like I'm just going through this and I'm just in awe, because I'm like, yeah, that's exactly me. Like that's, how I keep showing up, or what I keep moving in resistance
Mm.
of. And I'm like, why am I fighting this? If that's where I feel pulled, then what is
Hmm.
it that's keeping me from moving in that direction?
Mm.
And so yeah, I think like just hearing them like say whenever I'm like thinking about making a decision, or I pick that book up, or whenever
Mhm.
I'm feeling off or a certain type of way, I pick that book up.
I love that it's like a physical resource, because I literally need something that I can pick up to be like, girl, is this even what you want to do?
Yeah, I
Because
call it a
like
coach on the
anytime
shelf.
somebody, yeah, like
I mean, I'm trying to tell
anytime
you.
somebody is like, it sounds like a good idea. I'm like, it does, and let me go do it. And it's just like, maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I love about this chart, that basically once you give over your details for Christina, she helps to create for you so you can see yourself clearer,
Mm-hmm.
is for me, like I said, I was gonna tell y'all some of my business. We've been talking about like over the last couple of months, we did burnout. We're in the conversation around the self in terms of your relationship. And the biggest thing that I had been saying, like right around the time when Christina and I really first connected, was like, I'm in a place where I'm really frustrated. And so, in this book for me on page 17, it basically says expanding your capacity part two. And it's like your out of alignment theme is frustration. And I was like, see, this, I knew you, it's like, but you don't know until you see it. And I felt like I was looking personally for confirmation from my feelings without knowing that that's what I was looking for.
Mm.
So in reading this, the first line is saying, feeling frustrated is considered a call to redirect your energy. When your energy is no longer being set up for success, frustration has a way of creeping in.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, over the last year, frustration has been the theme, unfortunately, when my word for the year was like ease, I believe. And I ended up frustrated as like to say the least. Um, So I would say personally, as someone has gone through her program to do this guide, the biggest things are just like confirmations of things that you already feel. A lot of to me, my personal opinion, because I'm still learning about human design, but a lot of the way that human design is broken up is, I think, set up to point out things that you already know about yourself and to give you more confidence in that. So this is what, if you've never seen it before, this is what a human design chart looks like. If you are into like the esoteric studies and like tarot and things of that nature, a lot of that chart, it reminds me of the tree of life. And I think you mentioned that earlier on.
It is, yes.
So in tarot, the tree of life basically tells you like past, present, future, and then it gives you like little derivatives off of each nodule. I am a manifesting generator, and I don't know how to articulate that in a way, so I'm going to defer to Christina to explain what the manifesting generator is. My very basic understanding is that I see it in my mind, and then I physically create it in some sort of way.
Yeah.
Would that be right?
That's part of it for sure. And with your manifesting generating energy as well, just quickly to kind of piggyback off your theme, when you mentioned about feeling frustration, there's also that feeling angry that creeps in. So, because you kind of have a little bit of that being part of that manifester and that generator energy. So with human design, one of probably the first things once you pull your chart up that you'll see listed on your chart, or that you'll hear people talk about, are their types. And the types is kind of that natural flow of energy, kind of how you show up. Some people call it rhythmic energy, just kind of how you naturally show up in spaces and what you're receiving from the spaces that you're showing up in, whether it's workspace or hobby space or those different things. So like I said, there's those 5 types. There's the generator, there's the manifesting generator, there's the manifester, the projector, and the reflector, which is like less than 1%, but starting to be born a little bit more. So we're starting to see more reflectors. And so with each of those types, like I said, the generator is kind of that doer that they just dive into what they love, and they just do it until they exhaust themselves. So work or something for them is just really, we all have a little bit of, I just want to say we all have a little bit of that type in us, each type in us. Some of it's just a little stronger. But they could be fine. Like if their 9 to 5 is giving them joy and peace, they're like, I love what I'm doing. That's, they're responding to those creators, right? They're turning things into something. They're building that house, making that house a home. And so that's what they do. The manifesting generator kind of has some of that generating energy. So again, it's all about doing what lights you up, doing what excites you, looking forward to the next day to dive right into that again. But for our manifesting generators, primarily, that can shift. It could be something today and something different tomorrow, depending on what it is. So they have high multi-passionate energy that is within them. And so part of that multi-passionate energy too is that ability to create. So they have some levels of where they can their creative energy can just go out and kind of say just do it, but really like, yeah, if I want to go off and now open up a store, I got some clothes, I'm gonna post them real quick, I'm gonna just do it. I don't need to ask or go ahead. Yes.
No, I'm just saying like that's me.
She's like, over here.
I have not taken any sort of test, but that resonates with me. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so again, we're manifesting generator and the generator, we're responding to something, a call, and that could be a call from life. It doesn't have to be a person picking up the phone, literally saying, hey, can you do this? But just that you feel that pull. And with the manifester, there's also that creativity, that piece that's there. With the manifesting generator and transitioning into the manifester as well, because the manifester is like that creator. And so pulling them into same spaces together, the manifester and the manifesting generator, they're like the creator, right? They go and they just get in their creative zone. if you bug them or bother them, they get upset, they get frustrated because they kind of go in that cave mode of creation, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really important that we also, as one of those types, inform people before we, so that way if somebody's expecting us or looking for us, like, well, I've been calling you or I've been trying to invite you out and you've been telling me no these last, but you're just like, look, I'm in this space. And now you can say, I'm in the space of creativity. I'm just feeling like I need like an author that needs to get it all out, like before they go out. I just need to get it all out. It's not you, it's me. I like, there's, but I promise I'm going to come hang out. But right now I'm just in this space and I just need to get this out of me. And so informing those that might be affected by that is a big strategy for those types because like I said, we can go into those caves and just get lost in that and not want to be bothered until we get it all out. And we don't want people questioning us in the process.
No.
Simple as that.
Like, I ain't got no answer for you right now, child. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm in the middle of it. Let me finish it first.
Right. So yeah, and then kind of the projector, going into the projector mode. My husband's a projector, and just learning about him and kind of watching him, I'm like, okay, the projector's big on responding to acknowledgement. They want to be valued in the way that people acknowledge what they're contributing, acknowledge their value, and they are seen. And when they feel seen and and when they feel seen and acknowledged, they show up in ways that are amazing. They just need to be called out sometimes, but they're also observers, and they're able to, they're kind of like the project managers that can pull in different talents and creativities into a project to build, like, oh, I know this person, they have this they can do this really well. So they also see us and can pull us in and really put us in better positions and situations for ourselves. But they need to be seen for what they bring to really show up in some of those spaces.
What you said just hit a chord for me in terms of like, I am in the process of redoing my own website and adding different services that I have to offer with my tool belt. And so I'm just kind of like, that makes a lot of sense. Like I can, where I'm the seat or the place in the generating that I'm in is like creating all these things and really trying to define what that looks like in terms of my audience or my customer on the receiving end of it. So like, yeah. Thank you, ma'am. You always give me a nugget. Carry on. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, happy to help. And then the last one is reflector. And reflectors, they're mirroring everybody. They're absorbing that energy around them. They're like walking mirrors, and sometimes that reflector is showing you who you are because you're seeing it in them, in a way. Yeah, and so they have to be really mindful. We all have to be mindful of our environments and who we have around. But for them, they can really, if they're in a space with a lot of negative energy, a lot of just not good, just something that's not good for them, then they start to camouflage into that a little bit, and then they get lost trying to figure themselves out because they're just wide open. So a reflector, when you look at their chart, all their centers are white or undefined. They're open. So that means they are just amplifying all the energies around them, emotions, whether it's high or low. And so environment's really important. And like I said, we all have a little bit of it all in us. And so our charts are telling us where some of that is a little higher. So when you look at your chart and you see undefined centers or numbers, the gates, those are also telling you kind of where, like, oh, that's why when I'm with this person, I feel off or I'm picking up, like you kind of realize. So that's why I said, when you asked me earlier about like who comes to human design, looking for human design, couples and family dynamics are really big too, because you can look at each other's charts and really see where you're feeding off each other or how that energy is being transferred.
That's so boom, right? On a petty note.
Oh, go ahead.
Dehjai, Clearly we just are coming out of Thanksgiving. So like my family was all together. And so the way you just explained the reflector makes me think that it's a good possibility that my sibling is a reflector, which would be why we have like it's like a bull in a china shop. Like we butt heads crazy. And so now I'm just kind of like, oh, like my sibling is very reminiscent of Wendy in terms of like trying to figure out who they are. Wendy from Real Housewives of Potomac, if you all don't watch, we just finished having this conversation about how Wendy was on another podcast, which is the Carlos King podcast, and talking about we're basically watching her figure out who she is in front of us on live television because she's never had an opportunity to do that. And so that I'm not saying that to say that my sibling hasn't done that, but I think that it's a high possibility that there are pieces of her self-identity that are missing. So like that reflecting piece is what turns everybody away from her. So like that, I'm gonna have to bully her in the that sounds terrible, but I'm gonna get her to get a chart.
The interesting thing that I picked up on is like how you can be different in different spaces. So like for me, I know like interpersonal relationships, I'm very, what do you say, gummy. Like I'm kind of like loosey goosey, and like I have all these different relationships that look completely different from one another. But then in terms of like career, even though I don't really know where I'm going, like I kind of know the feeling I'm after, so there's a little bit more clarity there than there is in my personal relationships. So I really want to do this chart because I'm wondering if there's just like white over there in the interpersonal relationships, and that's why I'm able to like relate to all different types of people, and like, you know what I'm saying, have more gummy relationships in that way.
No, I think that would definitely help bring some clarity, or just a little bit more clarity to that for you. There's also the gates, and the gates, which kind of talk about the embodiment of our wisdoms and discernments. And sometimes so when two gates come together, it's called a channel, and that's kind of what our natural strengths are, that even sometimes we may or may not recognize those natural strengths, but that's usually how we show up, like in different spaces. Sometimes there can be hanging gates. So a hanging gate is like you have one defined gate, and then the other one is white, is open. But if you come in process with someone else with that other defined gate together, that's like the way that the two of you or a group of you, or how that works, really shows, okay, this is why we work so well together.
So interesting.
Working toward whatever, whether partnership or, a group work, social or whatever it looks like. It also kind of helps. So there's some people that when they take human design to businesses and kind of show how the strengths within the business from the people that are there and how to utilize that. So, I'm
going to ask you a question. The human design work, do you feel like this is your thing and you have clarity around that, or are you still trying 100 other things? I'm just curious.
No, so I will say, so human design for me is something that I really now use kind of as a foundational piece. So I focus a lot on authentic living, and I'm all over the place when it comes to authentic living because there's so much. Like I just finished reading like Ikigai and reading about that, and the Bagui system and feng shui, so I'm like trying to like find these pieces of incorporating different ways to live authentically. And so using that to build my recipe blog of authenticity, and using that, but the foundation, other than my Bible and my spiritual foundation, using the energy guide to really help me and other people show up through the human design framework. And so I think when it comes to that has helped me as far as my all over the places and doing the podcast and doing this and doing that. I learned that it's okay to shut it down when I'm ready to shut it down, and be okay with that and not beat myself up. Right. So when people are like, oh, I need to find work life, I just had a conversation the other day. I need to find work life balance, da da da. I need to do this, but I just wanted to do this. And I'm like, follow your energy.
Mm.
You're comparing to what expectations. So when I say, are you responding to the world, or are you responding to yourself? Start with yourself first. And so that's what human design has done for me. And I think that's why it allows me to embrace the all over the placeness and say, okay, I might be, but as long, because we can only focus on one thing at a time, to be honest, and so as long as I'm doing that, and I will say the community with Deanna Joy, the multi has helped, because she really hones in on how to focus as a multi-passionate, and her Prioritize and Thrive program is really, really good in helping you do that. And so that has been a big component with that as well. But that human design piece has just, compared to everything else, blow me out the water on how I respond.
I love that, because it's more about embracing yourself versus like trying to beat something out of yourself, which I think is a lot of times what we're taught to do, is like you're trying to fix something, but it's like not always about fixing it. Sometimes it's about just embracing it and working with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the only question that I have remaining is, you said something just now that hit home for me, and that's the going with the responding to your own energy. And so I wonder how that works when you're in a relationship dynamic. Because if you're trying to respond to your own energy and they're requesting of something else from you, like, how do you navigate the two?
Yeah. So I just had a conversation with a girlfriend about that actually yesterday, because she made a big decision to leave a relationship. And after them going back and forth on this discussion is about children and whether or not to have children. He doesn't want children. She doesn't know, but she doesn't want that taken away from her. And so she thought she was fine. She thought she came to the point like, maybe I don't want children. I'll be okay. And so she decided to hang out in the relationship. Well, he brought it up in conversation again. And she said it just hit her. Like she was sick 2 days later in bed. Like it just really weighed her down. And so she made the decision to follow her energy. Her energy basically told her, like knocked her down just with that question, do you not want to have children? At this point, she couldn't answer yes or no to that. And so, but with him, it was an absolute no. Like because he just made that decision. And so sometimes you have to just listen. And if it's really weighing you down and really making like your body is responding in ways that you're like, man, I just feel depleted. I feel exhausted. I feel tired. I feel sick. Either bring it to your partner's attention and really say, hey, we got to work, like this is something that we got to work through, or you got to make those hard decisions.
Yeah.
That's really, really good and interesting. Well, I guess my final question is for somebody who wants to work with you, like what are the first steps, or like how do you start this process?
Yeah, so you can visit my website, stinagene.com, STINAGENE.com. And there you can download your chart without cost, a complimentary chart. So you can go on the website, get your chart. I also, with the chart, will give you like a mini worksheet that you can complete with the chart. And then if you want to move forward and getting the energy guide, you can get that, or you can go off into Google World and just dive into all the research and everything that's out there. So there's plenty of option when it comes to human design. But yeah, start with your chart and just and start there.
I love that. I'm going to do that. And I like that. And I appreciate, I mean, not that you're required to do anything for free, but like, I appreciate that this is a free resource, because it's easier to bully people into doing it.
Hello. So y'all go check out my girl, okay?
Yes. And don't forget, you'll need your birthing information. That sometimes is a stump, because you do need the place, the town, and the time. Yes. So your location and time is very important to really get an accurate chart reading.
Awesome.
And before we leave completely, Christina, is there anything else that you would like to leave with our audience? Any other services that you offer that they can also check out over at the website?
Yeah, so I do have a Cup of Authenticity, which is, like I said, my blog that you can go to. Check that out. I take different authentic living conversations, tips, and things, and I turn them into like a tea recipe just for fun. So it's like recipe form, and then I suggest a tea that you can, go to a vendor somewhere and purchase or make for yourself. And then I also do the Retail Your Story podcast, RETAIL, which is about the items we bring in our space and how they tell our story, kind of how they're silent storytellers of ours and connecting us to our authenticity. And
I
so
didn't need you to read me at the end of this interview, but go ahead.
so yeah, check that out. There's there's about 10, 11 episodes up that are posted. So just take a listen, leave some reviews, share. Sharing, yeah, is caring. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you all for watching us today. If you have any questions, or if you want to reach out to her, all of her information will be down in the description box. Of course, follow us on all of our social media, and we will see you in the next conversation. Bye.
Yay.